today when I got home. So I was like, oh, okay. I think, I think maybe. So far, yeah. So at first I was not feeling it, but now I think so. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, rock and
Frank is
roll
the guy in
time.
his 80s with his wife, with the wife with Alzheimer's. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, that was touching.
All right. So, guys, who would like to go first today about the book so far? Khadija, you want to go?
Sabrina was talking about the man and his wife with the Alzheimer's. Let's rock with that one. That was a good one. Because
Well, I
that
haven't
was a
gotten there yet.
No,
yeah, that
Tamara's
was
not there yet. You're about two before you get to him, Tamara.
because
Oh,
that was
okay.
your frustration as far as like where the love at for me, the person that gotta go through this. That's what kind of like what he went through, right, Sabrina? Like was like this is messed up. Everybody
Yeah.
complaining, but I gotta deal with this. Imagine taking care of a loved one day in and day out. So that's where his frustration was at, which
But we
I
could
get.
jump back up to Sam, um, since that's where Tamara is right around Sam. Um, Let me see. Yeah, I don't
I'm behind, so it's fine.
like even the Frederico. F Frederico was I guess a little relatable. Just because having come from a family who pretty much migrated from South America, right? And listening to him talk about people sacrificing with the hopes of you achieving this dream, and it never comes to reality, and that's real, right? And but I even take migration out of it. For a lot of us, that's just real. Like, we have these plans, and we figure if we do things XYZ, is going to lead to different things, and sometimes it just doesn't happen this way. And for him, I like that one. That one did resonate with me because it was a lot of disappointment in that. And sometimes I feel like that's where I'm at, right? Like, I've done all of these things, and still I'm not at a place where I'm happy or content. I'm still looking at all of the different disappointments that came along with me still trying to do everything right. So, so that one kind of resonated a bit. Overall, I don't know if it was the structure, if it was just like the short stories. Um, but I'm trusting you, Tamara, that it's gonna get better, but I'm like, this is slow, and I'm like forcing myself through it.
Maybe it would work better for you if it was a way that all of them were gonna connect at the end. Maybe
Maybe, maybe.
because I think they're all good stories though. Like I really, really, really do. Like I do. I don't know.
I think I wanted more depth. I think from her introduction, or his introduction, I don't know, lady. I was
Lady.
expecting more depth in the stories, like more details, and like the stories felt surface. I felt like in the introduction, she really set you up like this is about, like, people are
Yeah.
really confessing some stuff. And then when I was started reading, I'm like, this is normal stuff that I sit around and talk about with my girlfriends. Where is the
She
deep
could have,
stuff?
so maybe she could have entwined more of her, because she did have a long introduction. I was like, Dad, go on, like we you still introducing yourself, page 11, what's up? And so yeah, she could have infused that with some of the stories to connect them to her feelings and emotion, as opposed just like you said, targeting her stuff in the beginning, maybe. I don't know, maybe that would have helped with it
Yeah, I
with
think
it.
the introduction just went on too long. For me, I'm kind of looking at it as like a first meeting, like a therapy session. Like when you first go to
Hmm.
therapy, you kind of don't lay everything out there. You kind of you start off slow and you lay a few things out there. And so that's what I'm getting, like with the stories. They're short and they're like a first meeting. And I do sometimes I look at the stories and I wonder to know, like, well, what happened? Did, blah, blah, blah. But it kind of, I mean, it has definitely in the beginning. I think the introduction was way too long. I did expect more depth when I got over the hurdle of her introduction and I started reading the stories. especially with, like Sabrina said, Frederico. I work with a lot of students who are new to this country or refugees,
All y'all
or
work with students except me.
a first generation, a first generation Americans learning English, having all these responsibilities on them, different things like that. I have a lot of students like that. I don't work with them in the classroom. I would kill a kid if I had to. I couldn't be a teacher. I'd be in jail. Um, I definitely would be in jail. So I rather work with them on the mental health side. But the one story that I really liked was I liked Andy's story about how he was like, how he just feels like he's kind of just living. Like him and his wife have this routine. He gets up, he gets dressed, he, does this, he, gets his kids up. They're kind of like teenagers or preteens. He visits his wife, he goes to work, he does his job, he comes home, and he does it all over again. And sometimes I think we, as highly motivated people, sometimes we can do that. We get stuck in that rat race of, get up, pray, do whatever you do in the morning, go to work, do your job, come home, eat dinner, whatever, kiss your husband, kiss your wife, whatever, and then you go to bed and it's a cycle and you slowly start feeling like you're dying, So his story like resonated a lot with me. And then I did like what's her name story, Zara's story, because I've heard that a lot about um and I'm assuming, not even assuming, I'm thinking she's Muslim. So I've heard that a lot
Says she's
about,
Muslim. She says she's
yeah,
Muslim further
right.
down.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so arranged marriages and parents who force their kids into arranged marriages, and so that one resonated a lot with me. And then one more story that I really liked. Um, I really, really, really liked, what was the story with the girl? She met the older guy and they were together for like 5 years, and
Oh,
he was like cheating on her. That
oh,
was
yeah, that was in the beginning.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
still in the beginning.
yeah.
I forgot whose story that was. I like Edie's story. That was the first one. That was like very heartfelt.
Yeah, Gemma. You talking about Gemma? Gemma. You're talking
Gemma?
about Gemma.
Yeah.
Okay,
Gemma.
yeah, I liked her story. So for the most part, like I said, I think the introduction was a little bit long, but once I kind of got over the introduction and got into the stories, they started to kind of grab me. But I was in the hospital for a couple hours yesterday, so what could I do but read? So that was that.
Yeah, I think the introduction was long because you're not going to get a connection between the stories. So the introduction is an attempt to really say that we all go through it. We go through it in different ways. I went through it, and this is the why I wrote this. I think that's why the introduction is long. I get it. I too was like, please stop. Let's just move on with the deal. But I think she's trying to justify the book, and that's why the introduction is long.
Yeah.
As far as, I guess I'll go since I'm talking. Yeah, it's for me. It's like, this is everyday stuff. We go through it. Sometimes we put ourselves through our heartache, and sometimes, you know, it just comes our way without any provocation. So it's there's nothing interesting to me about any of their stories. I've heard these stories time and time again. So you know, some of the stories, I think people put it on themselves. Some of the ones about love, I think people overvalue relationships, and I just think there's a social aspect to like a lot of the stuff that people follow. It's kind of a template, and they're not realistic about how relationships are supposed to go. One thing I found that was interesting. The one thing that I found was interesting was how the men tell stories versus the women. There's a complete difference in how the men tell stories, and how women tell stories. So I think that's pretty interesting. But other than that, this is kind of like everyday kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was the purpose of it, I think.
I wanted
that's the
more.
purpose. That is the purpose. That's the purpose of it.
I wanted more. I wanted deeper. I'm like, this is just, like I said, I was looking for things that people wouldn't share with anybody. And I'm like, this is normal stuff that you share.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
I might be an oversharer.
you gotta understand that when people share, they share their perspective too. Like they only sharing, they're not gonna tell you the other person's side of the story, right? They're only telling you their side of the story because that's the story that they understand best.
And they're confessing from the Craigslist. So
Right.
that's like for some people to be able to share with a stranger something
Right.
so personal to them.
Right. This
That's
is their
deep,
therapy.
because some people would rather do that to think that, okay, then I'm not going to get the blowback. Because a lot of times people feel like when they share with people about, like people that they know personally that have their back, they share their vulnerabilities with them or whatever, then that person will turn around and use that same vulnerability against them. Like,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
to me, the stories that have gone so deep, for somebody to just walk up out of an ad, out of the newspaper, to be like, I gotta get this off my chest. I gotta talk to somebody. They don't gotta know my name. My picture don't have to be there. These are pictures that don't want no accolades, that don't want nothing, to just share. Like, damn it, this hurts. Like this is.
The funny thing about it is, I think you guys you don't have George, do you? Do you have George? Did you guys read George?
Yeah, I think I got George. Let me
You have
see.
George? The
Yeah,
one
you
that's
were saying.
the older man who's living in squander, who drunk
Yeah,
his
George
own.
is in regret. That
But George is in the next page. He's in, yeah.
George is in the regret part
He's
on
in
page
regret.
81.
Okay, so he is there. Okay.
Book
I think that was the funniest. I think
the
that was the most
library.
interesting.
Clap it up for me for the library. Yay! I need something to do with my life. It's the library.
I think George was the most, to me, that was an interesting story because that was raw. I think he was very raw.
I didn't get to George yet.
Yeah. But I think the way it is in Audible, I don't know where it falls in your guys' book, but my George
It's the same in Audible. It's the same. It's the same
okay.
list, same order.
So,
Okay.
Jazz, how did you stumble across the book? You picked it for the club. You just saw it out there on the list. Somebody recommended it. How did it come across?
I was just looking for book club recommendations for a mixed audience.
Have you read anything that she wrote before? Anything by Helena DeBala? You read any other
Nope.
stuff?
Mm-mm.
I like the book. I guess I like all the books, huh?
No, I think for me, I like the book. I kind of like, as I was reading, I was feeling like for Tamara, like, wow, this is what life is like as a therapist. Like a lot of stuff in at one time. And again, like Dr. Ray said, it's like it is everyday normal things, but it is things that there are things that people just don't want to talk about to everybody. So this was a platform for them to kind of get it off their chest. I don't know if anyone's story really resonated with me as much.
I did read George, and I kind of saw some things in that I could relate to, not for me personally, but people that I know. I guess that is personally, right? But I just felt like this. I can't
Because
imagine.
it seems like George was successful at one point, right? It seems like he
It
was
seems like he was
successful.
depressed constantly.
Yeah.
He kind of
No,
like,
I said no successful. It seemed like he had some level
yeah, at
of
some
success.
point, yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And when I guess next week we'll talk about him, but I thought this must be a lot for one person to take in.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot, right? Right?
Yeah.
Like you talk to your friends, you might talk to family members who kind of open up to you, but the life, I just thought about tomorrow. Like, how do you go home every day with this?
Well, don't they say therapists need therapists? Like
Absolutely.
psychiatrists need psychiatrists
Yeah,
or
well,
psychologists.
they probably need it before they go into the profession, like
Yeah.
teachers. So, because we definitely need it, depending on where you're actually working. But
Mm.
yeah, I think all the stories are interesting in terms of they are from, like you said, their perspective, and it's
But
just
can somebody help me with the first story though about the little girl? I don't understand what was she confessing about was that Edie? Was it Edie?
But was
What
she
was she
Eddie.
confessing
confessing?
about her husband? How?
No, about the kid. The
She
kid. She has
no,
a kid
she
who was
didn't.
sick.
No,
The
no.
kid who
She's
was sick.
just talking about. She's talking about how, like, if somebody is like natural kind of illness or sickness, and then you go through all those traumas. So basically, if one-liner, it would be she's talking about the strength of a woman who went from her early childhood into surgeries and traumas and all that, but she still came out to be a good mother, and that's what she's talking about. Like, and she's talking about from the perspective of a mother, that how the ladies or women would feel that when they give birth to a child, and how closely they are linked with that, and then how it feels like when your child is undergoing a life, and she's also kind of, this is lots of women think, I don't know, but this is what my knowledge says, that lots of women think about something which even has not happened, and then still plan for it, just like she was planning several times in her life of her daughter, Laura, I think her name was, daughter's name. So she was planning for her funeral even when she was like 2 or something like that. She, lots of times. And so
Yeah, she
this
wasn't
is
really,
what,
yeah, she wasn't really confessing anything. I think that first story she was talking about, like, basically at this time, I think it was in the 80s, she was talking about like the
yeah.
80s, and her daughter had to have like a couple of open heart surgeries, and like she was a planner and her husband wasn't, and eventually the weight of having a sick child, they divorced, he kind of gave up, and she was like, all right, I'm gonna do what I gotta do for my kid, which a lot of mothers do, and they divorced, but she still kept with the surgeries. I think she said 1 year they were in the hospital like 52
50,
times.
52 times, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think that was just like a story about not only
Billions.
like mother's love, resilience, like everything that they probably told her, your daughter will never do
And
this, she will
also,
never accomplish that. The
yeah,
daughter, and she's
yeah,
now a grandmother and all that stuff. So yeah.
but she's talking about her daughter's fight in a, like,
To
with the
live.
health issues,
Yeah.
and also she's, if you remember, that she briefly, not really briefly, but she mentioned about a nurse who was a cancer patient, or she died even after that, and even after her death she kept in connection with her parents, and then they, as a kind of gesture of continuing, how I would say, goodness, spreading the goodness, is that her bracelet was something like she made some kind of a necklace or something like that for that. Their twin, they had, I mean, Eddie's daughter had twins. So they made those kind of things. So she's talking about positivity coming out of those negative situations, when you are dealt with a health crisis. So in your life, you deal the health crisis and how you still come out to be a normal person. This is what she's trying to say as a one-liner. There's a love part of the mother, but she's talking about basically about a situation which anyone could face. Who would like to go next? I didn't know who wanted to because all
Go
of
ahead,
it.
Brother Sajid. Oh,
Let Yasmin go. Actually, she's having her book and she didn't get any time. So let Yasmin go for.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Like Ray said, a lot of these stories do seem like everyday stories or stories that you've seen on TV or heard before. But Kurt's story was interesting to me simply because I've not, you hear of that happening, but hearing it from somebody's perspective of like from somebody that's transitioning firsthand, that was interesting. So.
Oh, so just
who was
Curtis
that?
just there with Kurt.
Who was transitioning again? Who was that
When
again?
Kurt
Kurt.
switched from
She's talking about.
a
She's
woman
talking
to a
about
man, a
Kurt.
girl to a boy.
Let me ask you a question. Did at the end of her story, did she say she had sex with a man at
She
the end?
did. She
Okay.
did.
And so what was the bleeding in the I didn't get the part about the bleeding.
I'm guessing it ripped up what was there, maybe, because she didn't say exactly.
Yeah.
Some mishap happened, something like that.
I know she
So I
said
don't
she
know if
blacked
she was,
out. She
I don't know
blacked
if she
out,
was trying to do it as a woman or
but she had male parts now, right?
yes, but they were small parts.
Oh, okay.
So it could have been from the back.
It was very, yeah, it was very up to your imagination. Actually,
Yeah.
her story had me wondering if it was someone I knew because I worked with someone. I know I did. I worked with
Spilling the
someone.
tea. It's supposed to be confessional.
No,
Supposed to be-
listen, no, I did. I worked with someone that transitioned, and he would always tell me all the details of his transition. But he was always getting beat up in a bar for going to the bar on the weekends. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if it's the same person. But I digress. It wasn't the same person.
And didn't it
Yeah, I
go
think this
back
was
to
a
that
one-off. I
same?
think this was a one-off, right? I think that happened one time, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just yeah,
But that thing that when you gotta still meet
Yeah.
somebody,
Let
it's still like no matter what you felt before you needed to transition, when you still meet that new person in your life that you want to, build a life with, that you still have to share and still have to deal with feelings and emotions. And you still have to be faced with if that person is down with it or not. So they might be like, that no or yes still gonna be a hard no or yes for you no matter what. Still, no matter what, even when you switch it's rejection. That don't mean you're gonna be free from rejection from somebody else's time or space or energy or whatever.
I mean,
Still,
definitely rejection. I haven't gotten to that story. I haven't gotten to that story yet, but I have worked with a lot of clients who are transitioning, and that is something that's kind of a universal theme. Like, um, when do I tell? Do I tell? What's going to happen if I tell? And like you said, Bridget, it's like always that fear of rejection. Like, are you rejecting me, who I am? Or you rejecting what I was born as, And so, but one of the things I always say, like when you put yourself out there, regardless of whatever, that's always a fear of rejection.
but in the big
Unfortunately,
scheme of things, though,
those
that
who are
psychology is for
those who are
everybody.
transitioning,
Even outside of
right. I mean, but
transitioning, our emotions, those feelings of
yeah.
rejection and putting yourself out there, we all
right.
gonna deal with those, right?
But
I remember
unfortunately, sometimes,
as a young man, that was my biggest fear is being rejected by a female, That was huge. There was
but unfortunately, sometimes
anxiety around
violence
that.
comes with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, so I think that's the big different piece of
Right.
rejection.
So I was just
Sometimes
trying to
when
take that person's what that transition part out and just leave that humanity part. And at the end of the day, even at the after the transition, their thought was I'm still want somebody to accept me. So it's
Right.
still
And
back to the same
unfortunate,
human
right.
nature.
So, and unfortunately, a lot of people can't look past if it's a male transitioning to a female or vice versa.
Either
It's
one.
like you're a dude, you know. So sometimes violence comes, and that's when a lot of trans people, they're hesitant about telling, especially those who can pass, you
And I
know,
think
those
sometimes the
men
violence come
who can
because the
pass as
person was
women.
mad because the
Right,
person
because
was
they
mad
didn't
because
tell.
they didn't know in advance and they really
Right.
wanted to like that person. Not
Well,
because the
So
person was not who they thought they was gonna
yeah,
be,
but you know,
but
but
just mad
this
because
is
they
not
wanted
just a,
to like that
but
person
this is
for
not
real.
just a trans. This is not just a trans issue, though.
No, it
I
wasn't
mean,
a
when
transit.
I mean, a lot of people are harmed when they're not upfront about certain things. People have relationships with other people, and they have something going on, and they don't fully disclose in the beginning, and they get harmed. I mean, so it's not really. I get what the trans thing is, but you know, I think one of the messages we have to, you know, that needs to be said to the trans community is, you know, this is a tough decision, but it's your decision, and it should not affect somebody else's life. So once you make this decision, you have to go all in and say, hey, look, this is who I am, and you need to be upfront, because again, it's not about trans, it's just about fully disclosing. You know,
Right.
a
and
lot of
that's
people
and
get
that's
angry
the
about
And
thing
we
that
fully
talking about
disclosing.
in relations to intimacy. I'm not talking about no every trans person I can walk up to be like, I'm trans. No, I'm talking
Oh
about
no,
in
absolutely, absolutely.
the
Yeah, no,
intimacy
right,
part.
and
it's yeah,
that's
right.
and that's one of the things that a lot of trans people, that I've less the ones that I have experienced with working with have said it's like they struggle with, when do I tell? You know, do I tell on the first date? Do I tell on the second date? Do I tell when things start to seem like they're getting serious and we are going down that road? You know, when do I tell? Can I get a sense of, is this
But
man or
to me,
woman,
a lot of
whoever,
times
going to
those
get
feelings
violent
a lot of
or going
times
to get
those feelings
violent? So a lot of them, you know, a lot of those who I have experienced have struggled with it. Even now, like I'm working with kids, and I have this one girl who was born biologically a girl who was sort of kind of transitioning into a boy, very much identifies as male, very much acts like a male. I'm not exactly sure if any medication, hormone blockers, or anything like that is in the mix, but has adopted a male name, and everybody refers to her as him. So with him, it's kind of hard to figure out what's going on. And I just recently picked him up as a client, and he did
But I
say,
think that you're going off the
um,
tangent a little bit about about the trans child.
I
I'm
haven't
talking
gotten into
about
the
the
story
element
yet.
that sometimes they be like the things that they experience before they transition, like wanting to be accepted, not feeling it right in the right body. I need to get away. I don't feel normal. And then they transition, and those same things they still have to deal with from a human,
Definitely.
regardless,
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. Those same feelings are
male or
definitely,
female.
those feelings are not going to go away when your outside matches your inside. You know, those feelings, that feeling of rejection, those feelings are still going to be there. I think all of those feelings are universal feelings, regardless of whether you're trans, you're straight, you're gay, whatever. I think
Exactly.
those are
That's the
all
point I was
universal feelings.
making. That's the
I mean,
point
Oh
I
isn't
yeah,
was
that
definitely.
the same? It's the same thing with marriage too, right? Some people think,
Yes.
well, when I get married, everything is going to be like amazing,
Amazing, right?
and it's just not the case. So,
And
um,
some people even think to the point where I know, like in our community, I'm gonna say from our community, from East Orange, New Jersey, a lot of times, even the men, they may have been like through a marriage or a second marriage with, with a woman, and it didn't work out, but in their head, because they may have seen on TV or experienced culture, they may Hajj or Umrah or something. They feel like, well, if I get another woman from another culture, my marriage is gonna be like
yep,
theirs.
yep, yep,
That's the
yep.
marriage that they project on themselves. But in reality, they still got to do that work in that marriage. That woman, just because she's from another country, don't mean that she don't want the same things that any
Is
woman wants.
that that's
Still,
probably one of the biggest problems in the African American community with men who convert. is that a lot of times men are converting because they think they're going to find this perfect Muslima from Pakistan or Morocco or somewhere, and he doesn't understand that she's a human being. She has, she has wants, needs, expectations.
Women
She
are
gets
women.
upset too. Women are women and men are men. And so it's a big conversation that, converting to Islam or whatever religion is not a magic pill. You're still going to have issues. You're going to have, like you said, you're going to deal with rejection. And I think that's our biggest fear as humans, right? As social beings, we fear rejection.
Pain,
We
yeah, the
fear
heartache, yeah.
rejection. I remember I used to sell, well, not sell, I used to provide institutional healthcare, the United Healthcare. It was a free program, but there was a cancer product. And I remember people always saying, if you want to give somebody the people that you give a cancer product to are people who are in remission of cancer because they can't get it otherwise. So once they get, like, I think was it 7 years in remission or whatever it was, they will buy whatever the cost is because they know they won't be rejected. Once you affirm that they won't be rejected, they will buy the policy. We almost everything that we do in life is based on our fear of being rejected, right? We're trying to kind of overcome this idea of being rejected at work, rejected in relationships, rejected in friendship, rejected because of our credit score, rejection, and that's one
And
of our
that's what
biggest
this
fears.
book, what this book remind me of, that everybody have their story, but it just hit into the heart of like, this was a low part for me. This is the hard part of my life for me that I'm sharing with, when they were sharing with the confessing to the anonymous Helena, the author. Which I think is good though, that we see that and keep us humble. It's not to say I'm glad everybody got problems. I'm not saying it like that, but it do keep you, the balance with it to let you know that it's not just you that live here in Charlotte, North Carolina. No, it's not just me. So that's what I like about it. Yeah.
All right, who
And
wants to go
and
next?
it did have me misty eye, and I was really emotional with some of the stories, and I did have, my eyes was misty too. So I was soft-hearted as well. I'll admit that.
One more surprise for me was Frank. Frank was a rabbi, but cheating on his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, I ain't get to Frank yet. That
No.
must be in regret.
No, it's in love.
It's in love. Yeah.
It's in love.
It's Frank.
He's the one whose wife had dementia.
That's the last story.
Yeah. So he's basically blaming himself for his
Oh
wife's
yeah, he
dementia.
was
Yeah.
saying, I don't know what y'all big deal is,
But
because y'all
but
got it easy. Yeah, Frank.
and he
yeah.
just it was just one line about, oh, I'm a rabbi. So you
Yeah, I
really
gotta
have
go
to
back and
be
read that.
reading or listening, because he just said it that one time, he a rabbi. Oh, but I did this and I did that. I'm like, the rabbi messing around? Oh.
That is so easy. Why is that? That is the one thing that is just so easy to just do. It comes with so many regrets, and I'm so mad, and I wish I hadn't. If I could have stopped it or whatever. But it's that one thing, and it's the one thing that make it so bad. It's the thing that Allah said you can do, and we go through so much in life, just back and forth over this. That's why I wrote my book about it, because I just wanted a topic to just pull from or whatever. But it's just like, dang, I missed that line about old Frank. Right. But that just goes to show you, just because Frank, he ain't above being touched by sin either.
Right.
We all suffer from that temptation, right? So, and it goes back to rejection. A lot of times I think a couple of people in the book mention it. When you're being rejected by someone else, and if somebody's offering it, this person, I'm going to go here because I'm not going to face the rejection. So I'm not saying that's an excuse, but
not because they offering it, but they not rejecting you either.
They're not rejecting it.
Right.
So sometimes somebody says, well, why her? Well, because she didn't reject me. You know,
Right.
You
you know,
gave me the time and attention I was
yeah,
And
seeking.
it be that little
exactly.
thing like, okay, I'll get around to it. It be the little things though, and it'd be like, because I was sleepy and I didn't feel like it and I had a headache, like it, and those reasons do add up. And a lot of times people go 30 and 40 years down the line and they go back to the same thing. And it always goes back to the intimacy. And it's
Yep.
usually where it's something was lack of, and somebody could be like, well, I thought that because we was doing, no, we wasn't doing it. That was just something that had to be done. A man, like pressure gonna burst, right? So that just gotta happen. But that don't mean that it was fulfilling. And we tend to think that when men do it every time, when they sexually having sex, that it's fulfilling for them. No, because it's not fulfilling for us all the time. So you got to put good energy into it both ways. But that's always it, though. Them daggone pajamas and them headaches. And although the man may say, I understand, so I understand it as what you said you understood, but the man over here looking like that's messed up. That ain't really a good enough reason, but okay, I
And
understand
then
because
it's
I
not
love
just
you.
it's the other way too, because men can reject women too, and so it's the other way around too. Nobody wants to be rejected. That's a terrible, terrible feeling, especially
Okay.
with somebody that's not supposed to reject you, right? That's even worse.
I think that's why somewhere in there between Muslim men and women that it tells a woman, don't reject your husband. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So he don't, because that little tender thing does happen in relationship marriages. It's there for a reason. Not just for the babies, but not just for procreation.
I think Mr. Austin's hand has been up for a minute.
And brother
Oh, he
Sajid.
knows
And
how
Brother
to
Sajid.
I
he
don't
knows
know.
how to step in. He knows how to step in.
Yeah, but I'm trying to let everybody speak, but this is what I'm trying to. Okay, let's Mr. Sajid speak.
Yeah, actually, I'm discussing about a story where I'm missing the name of characters, husband and wife, and initially they had intimate relationship, and then they had to learn that there is a trade-off between intimate relationships and responsibilities, and as the responsibilities increase, so the responsibilities always increase at the cost of relationship. So there is always a trade-off between relationship and responsibilities. You know, though those that male
Yasmin,
couple.
Yasmin, what character he's talking about?
Sajid was
Because I
speaking.
didn't read.
Oh.
He's speaking. But I'm saying, Yasmin, can you help me, or Ray, you can help me? What character
Yeah,
he's
that
talking
is
about?
he is
Because I
talking
didn't reach there.
about he's
Um,
talking about um
That was Frank,
Sam.
right?
Sam. I think he's talking
Sam.
about Sam. That's when they end up getting caught. He ends up divorcing his wife and he visits the kids. They're in the next state or whatever at the end. Is that it?
Yeah, they
That's
were
the one Sam.
visiting therapist, and then in
Yeah,
the
that's
end they
Sam.
concluded.
Sam. Sam.
About that one too.
Okay.
He had like I think
So
he
what do
had
you
he
want
had
to?
like 19
Yeah, Mr.
encounters.
Sajid.
Is that the one you're talking about, Mr. Sajid? He had 19 encounters with women. Is that the one?
Looking at
Yes.
Sam.
Is that the one you're referring to? He had two children.
Okay,
I
what's
think
the
two
Yeah,
point
children.
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
le-
Same.
so what's the point actually?
A point is there is a trade-off between relationship and responsibilities. So over time, when responsibilities increase, so the intimacy or the relationship fades away a little bit. So we have to learn how to compromise between relationship and responsibilities. This is
Yeah.
what there is a takeoff. That is what we take from the story.
No, absolutely,
Yeah.
I agree.
Because
Absolutely.
that was messed up. Because like you said, with Sam, he had to go through the divorce, and like he's saying, he had to, like when you say, well, I'll visit the kids in the summer and I'll do this
Yeah,
and I'll do that.
yeah.
So when I do hear that, like a lot of people say that, and you'll hear the woman say, well, this is what I get and this is what the man get. but we don't, because I'm a woman, I tend not to think about what the man have gotten out of it and how that bothers him. And Sam tried to portray that through his story, but like, Dag, this messed up. I agreed to it because I messed up and I know I was wrong or whatever.
Right.
But I really, really don't want to be getting on a plane ride every time I visit my children. I really, really don't, want to
But
only
it
see it in
seemed,
the
but
summertime.
in Sam's case, it seemed like they didn't have a real connection, right? That they had, that she was just having sex with him to have children. That's what he, from his perspective. That's what he
Yeah,
said
from his perspective, right?
But one of the things that I think in my, as I
And couldn't that
move
happen
towards,
for real life? You could just marry somebody and you think
no,
and you just
absolutely, it happens all the time. It happens all the time. And I think from what I've learned in my years is that you have to treat a relationship like you treat work. The same way you are at work, and when boss man gets on your skin and you just smile and you go, yeah, yeah, boss man,
I
yeah, boss
disagree,
man.
not all day long, not that you all boss me,
Yeah,
yes,
I mean,
ma'am.
but the reality is we sometimes we are so nice with the people we work with, and we don't show that same niceness to the people that we live with. And that's my point, is that if you have the energy to be extra nice to your coworkers and your supervisor, whoever, you should come home and be that nice, just as nice. That's my only point.
Yeah, that's true.
Read my message.
I remember when I was in the military, we called it false motivation. So like I was an infantryman, and sometimes we would have to go on these long we call them ruck marches. Sometimes 20 miles, 25 miles. You got about 80 pounds on your back. It just sucks. And before the ruck march, you know it's going to suck. It's going to rain. Every time you go in the field, it's raining, and you go, "Hey guys, yeah, we're about to do this march, yeah, yeah," and you know it's going to suck, but you get yourself pumped up because it's better than saying, mile 11 going just sucks. If you get yourself in the right mentality, you can get through the 25 miles much easier than saying it sucks from mile 1. And I think we should do that in our relationships. And I think we would have a better outcome if we, before you walk in the door, you say, "Hey, look, I'm going to be the best person I can be." Right? I'm going to be the best person I can be. I'm going to listen. I'm going to hold my tongue. I'm going to think before I speak. I'm going to the same things I do at work, I'm going to do when I walk in this house. And I think relationships will be much, much better.
And I think it's just a little
Yeah,
more to it than
it's
I think it's just more
yeah,
to it than just to be
it's
like, cause you're gonna be the best person. It's gonna
yeah,
take work for her to
it's
be the best person too. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna take her to do some
yeah, but
things.
it's
And although
No,
we like our
absolutely.
easier
vaginas,
said than done. It's easier
No, it's
feminine.
said
easy.
than done.
It's easier said than done for sure. But but sometimes we think because it's our spouse or our significant, or even our children, that we can just say whatever we want to say, and that we can, and that's just not the case. You know,
Yeah,
The
this is
you
how
case.
we
and
struggle
it
and
is
we
easy.
try about it again.
Yeah, it is easy. I mean, that's how I look at it from my perspective. If I could
Yeah.
be super nice to somebody who and when I leave this job I probably would never speak to ever again in life, then I need to give that same amount of effort to the person and the people that I say I love. That's from my perspective.
Yeah, this is how you can think more critically or objectively. This is the logical thinking. Yeah, it does make sense. Yeah, Mr. Sajid, you want to say anything else?
Yeah.
You want to add anything else?
Another character, Zara's character,
Mm-hmm.
is from real life. So it tells us that parents should not take, if they get a marriage proposal, they don't think that it is the last proposal that they have got from their daughter, for their daughter. So they should take time and it happens in Eastern societies, in traditional societies, that okay, they are beating up their daughters to convince them for some proposal. It happens,
Yeah,
but
because when you put some kind of when you put some kind of a bar on that the girl should be married at certain age, and then they want to get her married before that age. So whatever the proposal, because of the arranged marriage, so whatever the option they get it, they just ask her to just dive into it. Yeah, that's all right. Any other point, Mr. Sajid, you want to add?
luckily, Zara took some time, and then the somehow first proposal was somehow rejected, and then the second proposal they got was somewhat better. So normally in arranged marriages, luck doesn't work.
Hmm.
So people should parents should take time, should consider that if they get proposal, so this is not the last one, they can get many more. So they should take time while picking up their son-in-laws.
Yeah,
That
that was
They
messed
beat
up for
her.
her
Any
I
parents.
was so disappointed in Zara's parents. So
Yeah, that they
disappointed.
beat her. They beat her up, trying to force her to marry this guy from London who couldn't keep a job.
Yeah.
They didn't even know. They knew kind of like his family, but and they thought, okay, well, his family may be successful, so that means he must be successful. And it took her friend finding out that he can't keep a job, he's not responsible. So you want to marry off your daughter to this man who doesn't have a job. So
Because the
don't
point was,
pressure her.
the
But
point
after they
was,
beat her,
my daughter is married more so
see,
than they was worried about who the
see if I
guy
relate
was.
to see if I relate to that to the writer's own story and how the parents in different societies, even she didn't tell her parents about she has left the job for almost like a year. And then when she
her
told, and
parents stopped
everybody
talking
starts
to
behaving,
her. Yeah.
yeah, stop talking to her, crying or things, and father didn't talk to her for a year or something. I'm not talking about the relationship. I'm talking about the job. And you can just convert it. What would happen if it would have been a relationship?
So
So job, you can get it anytime.
I
But
did have something.
I think with her story, what she was saying, what's her name, the author? Helena?
I mean, yeah, I think so.
Helena?
Yeah,
I
no,
think
no,
with
no.
her,
Yeah.
because she was a child of immigrants and her parents kind of felt like we
My
sacrificed
point
all of
is not,
this.
no, my point is how the, as Sajid was mentioning, either Muslim or Asian oriented or certain societies, even in the Western, I mean, in the Europe, and how they think in that perspective, those kind of small things, and how they overreact their own, like, I would not say job description, but something like job description, whatever their relationship entitles them to do. So they overperform or overtake that kind of a role.
Mm.
Yeah.
I did want to
Mr.
mention something
Yeah.
about, I just want to
Yes,
mention
Ray.
something about that. I think there's, I think, so from, what's her name, Zara's story, right? That's one extreme. But I think in the West, we have the other extreme where the parents take a very limited role in it, in who their children marry. And I think they're two extremes, right? So in the West, you know, basically we marry whoever we want to marry. And nowadays, I mean, it wasn't always the case, but nowadays you don't ask for the father's hand in marriage anymore. You don't really get input from the mother. Doesn't matter if the mom and dad likes the guy or don't like the guy, or likes the girl and don't like the girl. And I think that's a bad thing. I think moms and dads, they've been through it. They've seen a lot more than you, and you should get their input. So I think we need some happy. There has to be a happy medium. I mean, Zara's story is the extreme version. It's the extreme on the other end. But I think in the West we need to get back to, hey, look,
Yeah, but if,
courting. I think we need to
And
get back to
and
courting.
it would prevent a lot of first date mishaps that
Yeah,
happen. Stories are
absolutely.
just endless because don't nobody who know who you with when you go out sometimes.
Right.
Like
Right.
that you even going
yeah,
out with this new person.
but if you're talking
That
about
could
those
be
lows,
eliminated.
that's actually dependent upon the relationship of child with their parents. So if that relationship or that kind of care or not care or concern about that what she chooses or he chooses is that depending upon the relationship between the child and the parent. So if the relationship is good enough, then they take interest and then they care for their parents' advice on that. The friendship a girl would have with her mother or with their parents, whatever, and the boy, how open he is about how value he gives to his
Yeah,
parents,
I think
that whatever.
culturally we
Yeah,
have erased parents from that kind of that account. I think somebody mentioned
we have
accountability
like
before.
yeah,
5 minutes.
we have less than 10 minutes now remaining. So let's
5 minutes.
let me talk to Sajid. He has anything else to add, then I'll move on to Dr. Mahasin or
Yeah,
Sabrina as well.
Ray was right. We have two extremes. One Zara and second Errol and Maggie. So these are two extremes.
That's you're
Well,
right.
I
You're
don't know
absolutely
how
right.
you put. Well,
No,
yeah,
it's
I
right.
mean,
No, he's
like,
right. He's right. He's right. They're
yeah,
two extremes for sure.
yeah.
For sure.
Okay. Any else? Any other point, Mr. Sajid?
No.
All right, Dr. Mahasin, or you go ahead, Dr. Mahasin.
No, I made my point earlier. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Sabrina, you have anything else to say?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I'm just gonna keep pushing through it, and maybe something
Doesn't sound
will.
like you like the book, Sabrina. Doesn't sound like you like the book.
I'm not enjoying the book.
we
All
can
right.
tell by your
Okay.
voices.
I will have
It's
to make. I
it's
will.
But
hard. I
Samara said
admit it. It's
it
hard.
may
It's
get
hard.
better. It may get better for
Well,
me.
I'm going to. I will talk about those points that relate to what Sabrina is mentioning briefly on like sidelines, and I would also answer the point raised earlier on was the long introduction. Everybody can hear me well?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
So the long introduction is basically the 18 points is the actual book which the writer has tried to put her own thoughts, original thoughts that what's the reason. Yeah, it's a bit long, but because there is no storyline in there. But whatever the reason she's trying to explain and her own kind of suffering, she tried to put in whatever she could. So this is her own way of doing it in those 18 pages, or let's say 16, 14 pages, if we take out the initial sum of the pages. And the second important point for me, which Ray was mentioning, if you remember, long time ago when you got into some argument about um, if you remember that how you are sympathizing and empathizing. So actually, when you are if you are not trained as a therapist, that how you differentiate between that, how you sympathize, not empathize. So if you start empathizing, this is what Ray was mentioning. The literal meaning of empathizing is that you start suffering from the feeling of the other one, and you're trying to put in yourself into him or her shoes, and then you fit in so tightly that you start feeling the kind of that your laces are too tight that you start feeling and you can't breathe well or enough. That's how it happens. So as a therapist, you need to understand that one, or you need to understand that one. And even as a reader, we should understand it as a zoomed out perspective. And she tried to say something like that. And the good part she has tried to do is that whatever the stories she has heard from the people, she has taken out all the negatives and she's tried to put and reflect only the positive parts. So that takes away some of the real kind of things which happen behind the scene. So she has taken away and just projected the positive parts of it, of the story. So these 2 points I wanted to talk about, that this is the writer's perspective in the first page. Second, the therapist must be trained not to start literally empathizing and living through that. Otherwise, it will be too much of a toll on a person when he listens, and then he starts feeling the same. So his gut would start wrenching, that how the person would be beaten up and all those, and like those kind of things. Yeah, you sympathize, you imagine, but the traditional meaning of empathizing you can do, but the literal meaning of empathizing, you will start suffering through the pains of those kind of people that people were living in. So you would not be a therapist anymore. Then you would need another therapist or another psychiatrist for yourself. So these are my 2 points which I wanted to make. Yes, Ray, you want to say something about empathy and sympathy and something, if you want to think, if you are thinking on those lines.
You said it all. You've said it all.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Did she say in the beginning when she quit her job, when she got all these stories together,
Yes,
she took time off of work or something
because
crazy?
she was literally empathizing and living through the pains, and she took it
Through
as
the grief from
such
a
an
parent or
important
somebody
task.
had. Yeah.
Yes,
The
so
homeless
she was
guy. The
going,
homeless guy. What was the homeless guy's name?
yeah,
Steve?
Joe,
Joe.
yeah, Joe,
Joe? Yeah.
Joe.
yeah. So she learned it. It's important to listen to people, but then she kind of quit her job, or like, it's a good thing that whatever she's doing, she could have done professional therapy course and she would have solved many problems. I mean, like couples problem between themselves, kids problem between their parents, and gender problem when people are reassigning their genders. And even when you guys were talking about, so it came to my mind, people are afraid in
Them
terms of
people came to her
rejection. So
because she was willing to listen, not because they were going to her for therapy, right? They was going to her because she had the ad in the thing. Said, who
Right.
want to talk about their problems?
Right.
She didn't
yeah,
think
but
people was gonna come, right?
she just started, this thing happened, that just like you start acting like a firefighter, if you don't have a firefighting skills trained, you would
Yeah, I
suffer a
am.
Yeah, but
lot.
I am at
Mr.
every
Hassan,
fire with a
Mr.
water
Hassan,
hose.
I
I
don't
mean, would
think
she?
Tamara, Tamara, you can confirm this. I don't think therapist's job is to solve your problems. I
Right.
don't think
No,
that's a therapist's
it's
job.
No,
everybody knows one of the things I tell clients, kids, and whoever, I'm not here, I don't give advice. And because you know the answer, whether it is you cheating on your wife, you cheating on your husband, you got a kid on the way, whatever it is, you know deep down inside, you know the answer. So my goal, my job is to help you get to that answer. So by giving you skills to get to where you need to be. I can't solve your problems. Hell, I'm struggling solving my own problems.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I can't do this. What I found for her was she was doing kind of amateurish therapy, but she was
yeah,
more than a friend, because friends, what are friends? Friends sometimes are free therapy. You talk to your friend, you unload your whatever. And so friends are like that for each other. But I think she was like that for these people. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think she took it like saying, I have a good ear. I listen to people. People are flocking to me when you could find a therapist. So maybe I can switch this into something. She hated her
yeah.
job. She was dying, you know, she was like dying inside for doing this job. She's a lawyer or a lobbyist or something, right?
Yeah, she started enjoying it. She
Yeah,
started feeling that she's doing it as an important job to humanity. You mean like important role
right.
to humanity, so she must continue it. So that was her inner gut was telling her
I
that
wonder
what
why she
important
never
job she did.
I
Yeah,
wonder why
what
she
she
never
did to
thought
Joe
to
or
change
Joe
it
did to,
there.
yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder why
What
she
Joe
never
did,
thought to maybe switch. gears and maybe start looking into, I have this following, I have these people who want to talk to me, I have this empathy, I have this listening ear, this persona that people want to open up to me. Not everybody can do it. And I
Yeah,
care. I really
this
care.
is
So why not,
yeah, whatever we were
the
talking,
difference?
even in the books, and even in the book, when everybody, I mean, those characters are talking about, and whatever even she is doing it, even whatever she has explained in the book, that you get to clarify your mind rather than you mix up the things. If you mix up the things from emotions to this and that, and this is what, as a therapist, what you're not solving someone's problem, you are trying to help someone, that how you don't mix your own emotions with it and come up with a new cocktail of it, something. So do you complicate the problem more than that actually it is. So this is
Yeah,
what you are
so
trying to do, that.
that's called in the therapy world, that's called countertransference. So
Yeah.
you start to really transfer your issues onto, or the issues of your client, and your issues kind of mesh together. So then
Yeah.
as a therapist, that's when you're supposed to reach out to either your own therapist, your supervisor, whoever
Yeah.
you deal with, and say,
Yeah.
I think there's a problem. And for her,
Yeah.
she got
This,
enmeshed. I think she got enmeshed with some of her,
even she
people.
mentioned briefly some action which actually should, any friend. And I would also wanted to say that just like the word love is beaten up word, the friend, that it has so many meanings, 360 meaning of friends. So, I mean, like friends with benefits, friend with something else, friends, deep friends, fast friends, best
Yeah, because
friends,
we just have
forever or
love and
something like
thinking maybe
Fair
y'all
weather
another
friends.
language, y'all may have different words
you
for
just
love,
name it.
like in the
Yeah,
Quran,
you
it's
name it.
different words for
So,
love, and we just say
so
love.
I wanted to utter one word that basically, as a friend, as a therapist, as a parent, as a whatever, we want to help someone else, and also written in the book, but not very clearly, what you can do. If somebody can do that, just zoom out. So when you zoom out, basically your emotions are not into that. So you see a broader picture of things, then you would not be so much kind of like nervous and so much like negatively thinking, because when you see the broader perspective of things, so you know what's going to happen and how it is going to happen. So you are cool about it. You
All
don't
right,
worry
guys,
too much.
And
it's
I know,
five
I
after.
know.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock
5 after.
now, six
What
past
what are we
nine.
reading?
So I
What are we
won't take.
reading to now, Yasmin? What's the
Yasmin has posted it. I will just put a new poll, and I will just put those each one's just like but I think on page 100 something, Yasmin, just if you can reread your message.
Yes. And I was just looking at my notes because I wrote it down on a sticky note. I'm like, what I do with my sticky note?
No, it's there on
No, I
your
know I put it
message.
in the chat too,
Message,
but
yeah.
I had
Page 140. Page 140.
yeah,
So
this
we are reading
whatever
until
it was,
page
like
140.
about 70 more pages, not too many.
140.
Yeah, yeah, I can
is
see
that the
it
end of the book
here.
after?
Yeah,
No,
here
No,
that's not
you
the
can
just
see
end.
three
it.
sections.
But let's read. Let's make it to not just page 142, identity, to the
Yeah, I think
identity
that's better.
section,
Let's
right?
make it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Do that
Okay.
make sense?
All right, all
Finish.
right. We will,
Does that make? Yeah,
we'll
I think that
page.
makes sense. That makes sense. Finish all of identity. So finish loss. I mean, regret. Is it regret? Finish regret,
Regret.
loss, and identity, and then we'll
So
have
140
family.
something.
Is that too
Yeah.
much for everybody?
Not me, because I'm gonna be honest. I read my stuff Sunday afternoon, and like I said, I'm glad I had something else to read because I probably would have finished the book. I enjoy reading little short stories about people's
So
lives. I'm all humanoid
let,
reading, sitting like I said
so
with
be
I
clear
with a
about it.
smile.
I almost started to suggest to do it in 2 weeks, but since
So
we had already had
I
some
had to
heavy
stop
reading, I was like,
myself.
oh,
Yeah.
maybe not.
So,
Yes.
So,
It's so
Yasmin,
different
Yes.
what
strokes. I
page
like
until
it.
what page we are supposed to read then?
I don't have the book open.
I got the
I
book,
mean,
but I
okay.
got the
No,
book,
no, but
not the
Ray,
digital
what you are
copy.
what you are suggesting,
Well,
I'm trying to
I
get to
think
that one.
Bridget's suggestion,
No, early.
which I
We
agree with,
got
is
we
finish all of identity.
All of identity.
we gonna do regret and loss, and then we gonna save identity and family for last, right?
Okay, we can
Or
do
we
that
gonna
too.
go all the way to
No,
the
we can do it.
identity
No,
section.
we can do that too. We can do
Sure.
that too. So finish
No,
regret and
originally
loss.
she told me it was 4. I had said to
Right,
her,
because
she said the
it's
med ride
divided
was
into
coming at 3. So I
what
said
what are you talking
to
about, Dwayne?
her,
I think she's talking to somebody
you
else.
want me to go with you at
Hold
4?
on a second. Let me
She
mute her.
said
I'll mute her.
no.
Tamara,
So I said, you
you
sure?
gotta
She
mute
said,
yourself.
yeah.
I got it.
Tamara, mute.
I got it. Don't worry about it. So we're gonna
Yeah, so
read
that's
all
what
of.
I'm thinking. Because it's 5 different sections: love, regret, loss, identity, and family. So if we started on regret, let's do regret and loss, and then finish last with identity and family.
Sounds good.
Right? So that
Yep.
yeah.
That's cool.
So wherever
So
identity
we
stop at, for me, identity stopped after Selma and before Justin.
Yeah. Is that cool for everyone? So we'll
helps.
okay.
we'll
So
finish loss.
we will finish the identity part.
No, we're not finishing identity. We're stopping
Okay.
at identity.
Stopping before
Okay, yeah.
identity.
Before all right.
Yeah.
What page is that, Bridget, on your page? On your
I have the hard copy book, so for me, identity start at 155, but I have a book. So I don't know what the digital
how many
is.
total pages in your book?
And my book is 239, 240, 240
Okay.
something.
So this identity starts at what point?
Identity starts at page 155.
Okay.
So we start
Yeah.
we left off on page 80 something technically.
I'll do that. I will go through the book and I'll post it.
Yeah,
No worries.
because they nice short reads, and one page and it's not too bad, you know. Like you said, if you don't finish, you don't finish. It's like y'all working people.
it's we'll stop at 131 for the
Okay,
in the PDF, page 131.
On the
okay.
PDF, but it's 140 something for you, Bridget. Your book is
Mhm.
different than the PDF.
Yes, it
Okay.
is definitely.
All right, guys. Well,
All
another
right.
good session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Got
you.
it.
We'll see you same bat time, same bat channel next
Got
week.
it.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good
See you
night,
next week.
y'all.
Hey,
All
have a
right.
good
Happy
weekend. Have a good
National
week,
Day.
Happy
everyone.
day.
Happy
Happy
National Day.
Day.
Bye.
It's bedtime now.
Yes.
Yeah, it's time to go to sleep. I gotta get up at 4.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
I'm sure Riyadh was
Thank you.
busy. Kobar wasn't too busy.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, I'm on holidays. I took off for
The
from
whole
the
Catch
3
work.
me,
days.
bring,
Go
bring me
ahead,
some
Mr.
fish.
Hassan.
Bring me some
Yeah.
fishies. Bring me
Yasmin, you
some
guys are
fishies.
off. You guys go back tomorrow like everybody, right? Or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Ray, you were asking something?
I said, bring me back some fishies.
Yes, sure. Sure.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. Have a good
You're
day.
in Jubel, right? So enjoy your time in Jubel.
Yes,
All
I'm
right.
there.
The
Bye for
weather's
now.
nice now. Enjoy.